Happy Thursday. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? It's Thursday. Boa noite. Good evening. You might be like, hey, this background is a little different. Indeed it is. So hope you all are doing well. It is Thursday. I am back. I know I wasn't on last Thursday, but I was soaking up the beauty of Spain as I was celebrating my 1 year in Portugal. I celebrated it by not going live. But yeah, so Spain is 1 hour ahead of Lisbon time, which meant that instead of going live at 10:30 p.m. wet Western Europe time, it would have been 11:30. That was too much for me. That was a bridge too far. So I got some sleep in my beautiful hotel room. But speaking of hotel rooms, I am in another hotel room. I am in not in Lisbon, Portugal today. I just arrived to Bath, UK, United Kingdom, about 20 minutes ago. I was supposed to be here a little earlier, but EasyJet, it was easy, but the jet wasn't on time. And then I didn't factor in the hour and some change to get to Bath. But I'm here. I made it in time. Hey, hey, hey. So, big plans for my time here in the UK. I'll be here for a couple days, part of my extended relaxation. But yes, 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 I am happy to be here and happy to talk with my guests tonight, which we will get to in a few minutes. But in the meantime, let me say hi to, see, my guest was first in the chat. Yes, the Stephanie Perry is here tonight and the Roshida Dowe. So we're going to get to all of that soon. But hey, hey, hey. Action BJ. Hey, how you doing? Hey. K Renee's in the house. Yes, y'all hit the like button. Please do, please do. Hey, Diane, how are you? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Yes, I needed some rest and relaxation. I was actually looking on the bus ride over and looking through all my pictures this summer. Whew, I have had a summer to remember, baby. And I start my Portuguese class on Monday and it's 4 days a week. So yes, I definitely need the rest before I go into my next high season. The ABX girl, hey, 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 my other guest, hey, Rashida Dow, say hey, 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 y'all. Yes, yes, and the summit. I've got so much going on. The summit is coming up. Uh, some other travel. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. And part of my life is travel. And thankfully, now that I got my residency card, I could get back to it, baby. Yes. Hey, Aileen. How are you? Hey, there's my brother. Hi. Hi, Devon. I made it. Hey, the luxury vagabond. How you doing? Hey, Nicole. See, I made it. Hey. Hi, Pinky. How are you? Oh, wow. You're in a house sit in Redwood City. I am starting my house sit tomorrow, which is why I'm in the UK. Um, so yes. Oh, congratulations. I hope your house sit is going well. The gallivanting grandma. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? Hey, hey, hey. Let's see who else is here. Geraldine. Hey, how you doing, Geraldine? Kemi. Yes, house sitters are in the house. Yeah, it was an interesting ride from Bristol is where I flew in and then to Bath. And so then it was like, oh, it was gonna be an hour and 10 minutes. I was like, ooh, I may or may not make this live. I was gonna be live from the bus, y'all. And thankfully in my room, they have the refrigerator stocked, which I haven't had a stocked refrigerator like that you could eat and not pay for, since Italy. And so I was like hungry, not starving, but I definitely want some food. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have enough time. And this is a sleepy town. Ain't shit open. Okay. I walked in at 9:55, like the lights was down. I'm like, oh dear God. It's a sleepy town. So thank God for the cookies. Thank God for the cookies. So I'm jacked up on sugar right now instead of food. Pinky said she has 3 more house sits scheduled. Awesome. Wow. Yes, I know y'all are all coming from OBU. Yes, they are live. Yes. Hey, Teresa. How are you? Yes, I enjoyed Spain very much. It was wonderful. I did not bring Bailey on the house sit, but she did come with me to Spain. Hey, hi Helen, how are you? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, to our friends at Our Black Utopia. Thank you for sending the crowd. Yes, Bailey is being house sat, actually. So her sitters might be joining the chat momentarily. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, my stethoscope travels. James in the house. Yes, so many friends. And Jametta. All right. Without further ado, I'm just going to start introducing. So, some might say my next guests don't need introduction because most of y'all know them. But for those of you who do not, okay, we have, because like I said, I'm here to do my first house sit, right? So we have Stephanie Perry and Roshida Dowe, who are the co-founders of Exodus Summit, which is approaching this year 5 years of bringing phenomenal Black women together to teach them, pour into them things that they need to uplevel their life, move abroad, bop around, the whole bit. And so I'm excited to have them both here to not only celebrate 5 years of Exodus Summit, but also to kiki about how Black women need to be creating exit plans
That's
because
right.
we have all exited and we want that for you.
Yes. Yes. Thank
Hey,
you for having
ladies.
us here, Kashan.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I look forward to this time of the year.
Well, good, because we do too. Kind of.
too.
We look
We
forward to like
do.
October 15th, the best day in
Yes.
Yes. The end.
the end.
True.
That final
Yes.
Yeah.
wrap up
But we're
session. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you all, as I mentioned, have started Exodus Summit now 5 years ago.
Mhm.
About to celebrate that, and I'm sure we'll talk about that at length. But really, what I wanted to talk about was exit plans because all 3 of us are doing this live from 3 different countries tonight. I'm in the United Kingdom. Rashida, you're in Mexico City, and Stephanie, you're in San Jose, Costa Rica.
Mhm. Yes.
So
That's right.
none of us
Yeah.
are in the United States.
We know how to get out, right? If we don't know anything else, we know this is a on this screen. You see Black women who know how to get out of
Leave.
situations that are
Yes.
not that we
Serving
don't
us.
like anymore.
I don't
Yeah.
like it. It's not serving me. I'm gone. Bye.
That's right.
Yeah, because what I've noticed, doing this for several years, right? Blaxit Global turns 5 next year, and you
Ooh.
all have been doing Exodus Summit for 5 years. Is sometimes, there's obviously people are on different paths, different journeys. It took, me, I had decided in 2017 to make the move to 2023. But regardless of the timeline, I knew that I was out. And while I see a lot of excitement and euphoria as of late with the US elections and switches and the debate, what I'm also seeing are some people are like, well, let me see how this goes. And if that is your calling, hey, that's fine. But what I'm going to say is, I left under Democratic administration. Some people left under, different administrations. I'm definitely a proponent of do what's best for you, but for
right.
me and me and not me and mine, but me and I had to go.
That's right. That's right. So there, I don't know why people are so hopeful in the United States right now. It's nice to see because hope is,
Mhm.
it feels good. But like more of the same. What you're going to end up with is more of the same. Whereas there is a place where you can live a better life, right? And where you don't have to struggle, where you don't have to be the burden bearer, right?
Mhm.
So like it
Mhm.
is nice. It is nice to see everybody so excited. But at the end of the day, more of the same. It's gonna be more of the same.
Yes.
So I
I
think that it's still a good time to plan your exit.
Mhm.
I think it's a great time to plan your exit. I feel more hopeful. I'm one of those people that feels more hopeful. At the same time, I recognize that that's insane because my 45 years on this planet have told me that having a Black woman at the helm of the country is going to lead to a couple different things. One of them is like, yay, Black women can do it all. But like, what does all mean? It means upholding the empire. It means at some point becoming a war criminal because it's what they do, right? Like, she's going to drop bombs on somebody. But like, is it time that a Black woman gets a chance to do the same thing those men have been doing forever? Sure, right? It's like, there's like a little bit of that like hope in seeing a Black woman in the highest position in the land.
Mhm.
Well, like, I don't have high hopes that it's all of a sudden going to be a better country or a different country. In
No.
fact, like what happens when she gets in the office and people get upset? Because people say that racism didn't exist until Obama showed up, but it's like, you see them say it all the time, and it's like, now y'all weren't acting out the way you're acting out now until
True.
like, or like you
They
didn't
lost their
care
shit.
about it. Like y'all lost your stuff when Obama showed up more than usual,
Yes.
right?
And they haven't stopped. I
And you
mean,
haven't stopped. So it
yeah.
wasn't that he created the racism. It's that you said, oh, full force. We got to go
Yeah.
hard on them. And now
Mhm.
we're in the remnants.
Yeah. 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 That is so true. And I think I agree with the whole euphoria. I'm gonna vote. But at the same time, what people, and I talked about it on this channel a few weeks ago, it's like euphoric recall. People have euphoric recall. They think, oh, I remember when Obama came in, there was all this hope and transracial America and kumbaya. Well, what happened? He had 2 years, then lost control, right? Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it. Couldn't even put somebody on the Supreme Court,
Mhm.
right? So if Kamala doesn't get Congress, the Congress she needs, it's going to be more of the same. And even if she
Or the-
does, it's going to be more of the same because the Dems, and I used to be in
Right.
politics for quite some time, uh, one of their shortfalls is that they don't do succession planning well. And so in 4 years, then what? And assuming she gets 8, well, her and Tim Walz are the same age. What's going to happen? It's like, who's supposed to be the next one, right?
It's it's interesting because I feel like this conversation would be completely different if she wasn't running against the devil, right? Like that man is Satan, right? And so like, no, we don't want him to be in control. But like her politics are very just establishment. They're very like, this is the thing we've always done, and this is the way we're always going to do it. And that's not a knock on her. It's just recognizing that the American political system is what it is,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
The Republicans are pushing hard to take away rights from everybody, and the Democrats are like, "Oh, that's not nice. I don't like
mhm.
that. I don't like it when you do that." But like, then what, right? And now what? And so, yeah, I think people can have hope. but hope isn't a plan, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
strategy for change.
No,
That's right.
not in the least.
There
And so,
are more progressive places on this earth. There are more progressive places. There are places that might match your politics,
Mhm.
right? There are places where people get healthcare just because they breathe air, right? There are places where people get education just because they breathe air. There are places where people's work status is secured. There are places that are more, there are places that are doing things that the Democratic Party has convinced us are impossible. Impossible. Oh, couldn't happen. There are places that
Impossible.
are already doing it, right? Australia took
mhm,
guns away from people decades ago now, right?
yep.
There are places that match your politics,
Mhm.
and there are places where you
Mhm.
don't have to be the fighter,
Yes.
because it already exists. It's
Yes.
already there.
It
Mhm,
is.
It's there.
It's
mhm,
there and it's recognized and it's not seen as like abnormal, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
That like your healthcare isn't linked to your job, and so you can't leave your job because then you might die, right? Like
Yeah.
especially
That part.
expensive medications, right? Like I must work here forever because my without my insurance, my medication that should cost that costs to manufacture like $5 a vial is
Mhm,
$30,000, and so I'm stuck in a job that is killing me slowly, right?
yeah.
Like there are other options, and it's
Yeah.
interesting being in places with other options. Like I don't have health insurance in Mexico because when
Mhm,
I go to the doctor, it's like, okay, that cost me $50 to see the doctor, to get the medication,
exactly.
to do all the things, including the Uber back and forth.
Mhm,
Okay, all right, done.
yeah.
Including Uber.
Including Uber,
I
right?
know Uber in Lisbon is like €5, maybe €6. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have dental insurance. I pay out of pocket. I probably could do the same with health insurance, but I'm getting to that age where I gotta have more tune-ups than normal. So I'm gonna keep it for now. But nevertheless, it's like it's a relief
Hmm.
to be free from the daily grind, the 9 to 5, the stuff that was causing me to get sick. Like people are staying at jobs that you said like are killing them.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like you're on meds because the job.
It's
Like,
killing you.
yeah, you're
It's
you're depressed, you're anxious because you don't want to get laid off. You can't lose your health care. You have anxiety about money because everything is ridiculously expensive. And then it's just a never ending cycle. Like Sunday
Mhm.
comes, you're like, oh crap, right? And it's like, I look back on my life, a little over a year ago compared to my life today. And now, no 2 days are the same. But when I was in America, it was Groundhog's Day. It was like I wake up and it's like just like I was doing hard time, cross another X on the calendar. Time to make the donuts and
mhm.
do it again.
Counting down to the
Yeah,
vacation, and then when you're on the vacation, you're like, oh, I got to go back to work in 4 days.
yeah. If they're not texting you and calling you on the vacation.
I cut somebody out for that once. Stay off my phone.
Yeah, I
Would
don't I
you?
don't do that.
How would you?
I didn't do that. I didn't do numbers. I was like, "Oh no, when I'm gone, I'm gone."
I had to. So I cussed the client out for calling me, internal client, and then when I got back, I found out who gave him my number. I cussed that person out, and then I took my phone number off of the call sheet because why?
Yeah.
What are we?
Mhm.
Oh no, we have new. Here's a new call sheet for everybody. No, my cell phone number is not on it because y'all don't. You know I'm
No.
on a beach. Why would you? What
Yes.
is it about the American work ethic? And it's not even an ethic. It's like a sickness.
Mhm.
But like that being away for 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, you think it's going to bankrupt the company? If me being
Mhm.
gone for 7 days is going to ruin the company, y'all need to pay me more. I'm so sorry. Like
Mhm.
if I can't be gone, right? If someone can't be granted vacation because they can't get the scheduling right, they don't have enough people, you got to stay on unless you can find your replacement. Y'all not staffing this correctly,
Yeah.
right? Like what's happening here? If
Mhm.
any one person is so crucial, let them know with money.
Yes. That part. But
We might
even
not
the
be
people
so
that have
stressed.
like the top job, they're stressed out too,
Yes.
because I've yet
Yeah.
to be like, been traveling, doing all the things. I've yet to see like somebody who's a C-suite who's like, oh yeah, I'm vacationing in Asia for 3 months or Europe. No, 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 boo boo. You gotta work for that
Because
lifestyle.
to get to the C-suite, you have bought into the idea that work is everything, right?
Yes,
You
that's right.
already you've bought into it. You're in there. You believe, and
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't believe, you can tell them other people you believe, so that
Yes,
they can do the thing, right? Because you
yes.
need them working.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, life is
Yeah.
better now on the other side.
Yes. So let's talk about the other side, and then we're going to talk about its exit plans. So life on the other side, you both have had some epic travels this year. Might you both share what that experience was like? Because it was very fun to watch.
You want to take it first,
Are you
Steph?
talking about the cruise? Are you talking specifically about the cruise, Krishan?
I mean,
Or
y'all have
anything
been
in particular?
the crew and
We,
everything.
We've
Rashida
been on
and
two vacations
I,
I'm
together
like,
this
I want to be y'all when I grow up.
Rashida and I were together in South Africa
Oh, I forgot about
and
South.
then in Mauritius.
Yes.
And then we went to Bermuda and we took a cruise to Portugal. It's
Hmm.
been amazing. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. When you no longer believe that work is the center of your life, you also no longer believe that you have to work hard to make money, which makes it easier to make money and use the money and enjoy the money because the money is no longer tied to your life. I can't spend this money because it cost me my life to get this money, right? We don't money. So we have done some really amazing travel this year, including we took a Ritz-Carlton cruise. I didn't even know Ritz-Carlton did cruises. I didn't know that they had yachts. Ritz-Carlton has a couple of yachts out in the water.
In that
We
ocean.
got on that yacht. Girl, we got service. Okay.
Literally,
We
like,
got
what? I remember we sat down once and we were like, because all the food's included in the price of the yacht. And so we sat down and we were like, oh, let's add an extra lobster tail to the meal. Our meal ended up having like 3 lobster tails because some were included and we didn't know. We were like, we live here now?
Right.
We walk in the room and the staff would be like, hey, Roshida. Hey. I,
yeah.
just that experience of being cared for and held
Mm-hmm.
in that way, which also carried over. I'm gonna switch gears real quick. When we went to Fiji together this year for Stephanie's birthday, and that
Yay.
was also a very similar experience of people going out of their way to like get you whatever you need, but not in a I'm doing this so I don't get fired way, in like a I see you.
Mm-hmm.
You have whatever you like, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey friend, hey family, what do you need? Got you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was a really, really beautiful experience there.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I did the yacht thing for my 50th.
Yeah.
I had a
Did.
yacht party and then was
Mhm.
on a yacht a few weeks ago with friends, and it was a life. It was a life, but it was a life that I envisioned for myself. Well, that part came like 2 years ago when I was in Bali and was on a yacht, and I was
Okay.
like, oh, I need more of this in my life, right? But it's seeing something, experiencing, and then, in my case, wanting it for myself, right? And so I see some people in the comments that are talking about like goals, yacht goals, all the goals. Representation matters. So seeing other Black women on the screen, right, who are telling about their own experiences, who got out of the rat race, got out of the whole daggone country, started new lives for themselves, and in our case, help other Black women do the same, right? Is what fuels us really, because every day I know I get messages, you guys have it in Exodus Summit, from people who have made different steps, either they're house sitting for the first time, or they're taking a gap year, or they're moving abroad, moving their whole family. It is so rewarding to see the impact of it by people choosing themselves and then taking
Mhm.
action.
Right. Yeah. And we love
That's
seeing
right.
it. We love seeing women, families, non-women who were saying like we inspired them, but they did something because, they heard us talk about it. And it's just like watching the snowball get bigger, right? Like I tell somebody, someone watches this, and then they tell someone else to watch this, tell someone else to watch this, right? Share it with them. And then the snowball just gets bigger and the movement gets bigger and it becomes more normalized. And
Mhm.
part of what stands in the way of people making this choice to exit, to step away from what is really valued in America is the normalization of it. Like it seems like you did what, right? Is always there instead of like, oh wow, I'm so proud of you, right? Like it's not a normal thing to do. And so it's at this point harder for people to step into it than it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
really
is so
hard to
true.
take action on something when you don't know what action to take, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I want to do it, but I don't even know how to start taking actions towards it because I don't know anybody else who does it, right? It's really a hard situation when you're by yourself, when you're surrounded with people who are trying to stay in the same place and you're trying to go in another place. It's really hard.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, because nobody wants to feel like they're the odd person out or the weirdo, and so there's been like dream killers, people that
Yeah.
they may have said something, about wanting to move abroad or thinking about taking a break. And they're like, oh, but what are you going to do with this? And what are you going to do with that? And some of it is unintentional and,
Mhm.
and some of it can be intentional, right? You don't know where the haters are. But I think the beauty and the power of our respective communities and others is that it does normalize it. It does create those safe spaces for women to have these empowering conversations, to get with one another, to form accountability pods, and really take those monumental leaps, those quantum leaps that get them out.
Mhm. I want to respond to a comment that I can see right now. It's Miss J. Dennis saying, to be honest, at this point, the yacht feels a million miles away. A beautiful dream. When I left the US, what yacht? If you told me I was going to spend 10 days crossing the Atlantic from Bermuda to Portugal on a Ritz Carlton yacht, I would have said, you crazy. Like, who going to pay for that? Who going to pay for that? Right? I left in 2019 and it's 2024 and I've already done it.
Yeah.
And not because it was this constant goal that I was thinking about. It's that when life got easier, life got more abundant, right? I left the US
Mm.
and there's a lot of things are easier, less expensive, all the things, but also like I got wholer. And in being a little bit more whole than I was before, like Stephanie said before, it was easier to make money. It was easier to say, I want to do this thing. How do I do this thing without worrying about if I pay for the cruise and bring my mama and her bestie on the cruise with me? Never happening again. Thank you. One and done. I do that. Is there like, how am I going to pay the mortgage is what I would have thought about years ago. And now I'm like, the money comes,
Yes.
right? The money comes, I'm gonna spend it on something,
Mhm.
right? It's not bags and shoes anymore for me, right? It's these experiences. And I
Mhm.
don't have the same stress about like, what's my electric bill this month? My electric bill is gonna be like, for 2 months, it's gonna be under $10 because it's always under $10. My
Wow.
water bill is about $3.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I need to move to Mexico.
What's the difference for you, Krishan? What are
uh,
utilities looking like for you in this?
so water is about 25.
Mhm.
Okay.
Uh, all the utilities, well, electric is 45. And
Mm.
then my
Okay.
phone is about 60.
Okay.
That's still amazing. That's still
Yeah.
amazing. I had a row house in Wilmington. It was a little tiny house, right? And I was hooked to another house. It wasn't even a whole house, right? Little row house. There were times when my wintertime electric bill was $300. per month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I
Someone
remember those days.
on my most recent video, I think they're in Texas, but their electricity bill is usually around $500. And I
What?
was like, what? What do you, excuse me.
A month?
All the groceries I could
Unbelievable.
eat with that money.
Exactly.
Ooh, snacks. But you know, that's just like my water bill in Mexico is that low because the government subsidizes it because they know it's important that every human gets water.
Yeah.
We don't always have water, right? Like, you know, we got some issues, but like
Mhm.
for everyone who can get water, your price is pretty low because the government's paying a big chunk of the bill.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine your government actually
Yeah.
working for you instead of the other way around, which is what it's like in America.
Imagine your government thinking that vital and necessary services are vital and necessary, and that there's a benefit to the humans in the land if they
Mhm.
put in on it. Imagine that.
That's right.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been this past year now that I have a year under my belt. It's been so liberating, just to have, the brain fog is out of the picture, more space to live in the moment instead of how I used to operate, which was, you know, fast forwarding to the future, right? Fantasizing about the future, or, rewinding the past and ruminating over and over again about things that could have been done, differently. And it's like, no, I flourish in the present because each day is better than the day before. Better, this life is better than I even imagined for myself. Like the people that I meet, the things that have come into my life. It's just magical, and it's not an overstatement when I say that. Um, and that's what I want for other people. I want them to see and know that it's possible for them. Because just this year in Blaxit Global Passport, we have quite a few people that are moving to Portugal, quite a few people that have moved to Portugal. I think we're about 20-ish people that are in Portugal from Passport, and then we've had people that are moving to other countries this year. One just recently moved to Amsterdam. Another just messaged that they are moving to Colombia, and then 3 just got a residency in Mexico. Um, and so it's just been wonderful to see like all of these things because I've watched them throughout all of these journey steps through our accountability groups. And they're like, oh man, is this going to happen? And all this anxiety to like letting go. And then the magic happened, a job that materialized and, all these other things that have happened. And I'm just like, yes, that's what I always say. Like, you can be inspired, you can take action, and then you have to leave space because space is where the magic happens.
Mhm. That's right. You put yourself in a position for good things to happen for you, for things to work out for you. Things
Yes.
work out for you if you're in the right place, right? You want to move abroad, but you're not getting any coaching. You're not in any community with any move abroad people. You're not going to the Move to Portugal Summit. You're not going to Exodus Summit, right? You're not in position for things to really move in your favor, right? For things to work out for you, for things to happen that you didn't even plan. You can come up with a plan, but really only have a small percentage of the things worked out. But when you put yourself in position, right? When you put yourself in place for things to work out for you, you realize what other opportunities there were. Sometimes we narrow down what our opportunities are. I'm going to move abroad by doing this specific thing, right? I'm going to move abroad by getting a job in Portugal, right? Spoiler alert, you're not getting a job in Portugal, okay? But then, right?
You don't want
Because
one.
you're not, right? You don't want that paycheck. That's not the paycheck you want. So you have a very narrow plan, and then you're not in a place for the other things to work out for you, for the remote jobs, for the other stuff, for the rich suckers just to give you money, right? For other things to fall into place. Get yourself in position for things to really fall into place for you. And that happens by getting in community. One of the steps, right? One of the steps is being in community with people who are already doing the thing that you want to do.
And part of that is that when you're in community, you're going to learn about things that you didn't know were possible. Like a lot of people here are house sitters who probably didn't know about house sitting 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? They got in communities, they talked to maybe a house sitting guru named Stephanie Perry, heard her talk about it. And now that they know that it exists, like Pinky said, house it and use someone else's utilities. She's saving money on utilities by being in somebody else's house, right? Like those are the things that can happen for you by being in community, right? Things you didn't even know existed, right? Opportunities you weren't aware were out there show up to you, right? And it's honestly the best way. Living in community is the best way to live. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to my first house sit tomorrow. I'm like, I'm going to be here. I've learned about a little bit more about the area that I'm going to be in. And I'm like, who knows? Somebody might be around the corner that that will have an impact in my life. I don't know. But I'm living in this space of abundance and being open to opportunities. Whereas before, it was like horse blinders on, don't nobody talk to me. I want to, have my hands in my pocket because I don't want anybody to think anything, because America was just given this energy of feeling like everything was a gotcha, like no matter how good you do, how well you are, or well off or not, there was a trap door somewhere, right? And it feels really peaceful and easeful to not be consumed with that all the time. And now, I stay connected, obviously, because I have family there, my children there, I have people in the community there, right? So in order to serve, I need to have some cursory understanding of what's going on. But it doesn't consume me in the manner in which it did before. I sleep well. Those blackout curtains are a beautiful thing. I eat very well. So much so that I gotta like dial it back a little bit. But it's little bit. I had a great summer, but it's always like what I think about, you know, what I don't even think about like what's to come, where I used to do that
Right.
all the time. Like I would be time warping 5, 10, 15 years from now. Now I'm just like, oh, damn, tomorrow's Friday. I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. I don't worry about the days, the time, the money. It's just the moment, the magic, the magnitude. And it feels very good. It feels very good.
That's being free. That's freedom, right? Not having to be always on guard. For those not have to always be scoping out those trapdoors, not always having to be in the future or in the past, being able to be present. That's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
A freedom that a lot of people will never be able to, will never know. But it's
Mm-hmm.
freedom. It feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah, because once you get a taste, I think, and that's been, something that I've seen as also being a member of Exodus Summit, is seeing when people like get a taste, when they've
Yeah.
gone to Exodus Summit and they're like, before the weekend's over, they're like, either I'm quitting my job, or I'm taking a sabbatical, or I'm booking a house sit, or, all these things that they're ready to take action, right? And that's when you're like, gotcha, right? And then it's the follow through, right? Because it always requires some level of follow through. And they do that first house sit, or they take that sabbatical, whether it's, 5 days, 5 months, whatever, and they report back. And it's like, oh my gosh, right? It's like breathing pure oxygen is really what I liken it to. And the light bulb goes off, and then they're just like, oh, well, what I thought was impossible, now I know is possible.
Joining.
That's right. I love to see that. We love to see that. You see it too, right? Inside of Blaxit Global Passport. Yeah. So we really have programming, right? There is a lot of programming about what your life is, what your life should be, what is possible for you, what's realistic, what's not realistic for you, right? What you're not deserving of, what you're never going to get, what you're foolish to even dream of, right? There's a lot of programming that has to be undone. And that happens in community. That happens when you take some action. That happens when you give yourself a little, a little hint, a little piece of the thing that you want. Because there's so much programming that the life that you have is all that you're deserving of. And how dare you want more or less, right? How dare you want to do less? How dare you want to be less involved? How dare you want less struggle? This is the life that you've been assigned, and you're supposed to live this life. And so it takes a whole lot to deprogram from that. It takes a whole lot to take that off. It takes a whole lot to leave it, take it off and leave it off. And that's why we do the work that we do. Because once you do, things are so much better. It's so much better over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny how our programming is so based on like things we can't control, like where we were born, right? Like our program, my grandma was a big religious lady, and anyone in her mind, and to her, and to a lot of people too, like anyone who wasn't Christian was going to hell. And when I would talk to her about it, I'd be like, so the people in India who like just grew up in a different religion are automatically going to hell because they were born in a different country that has like more of this than that. And she'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't. And it's such a commonly held belief, right? And I'm not even saying it's wrong because I don't even know if I believe in hell. What I'm saying is that like, how much of our lives is dictated by what we came out looking like when we came out of the birth canal, like how your body shows up in the world, where you were born dictates so much of your life, unless at some point you push a button and say like, oh no, thank you to anything you want to say no thank you to, right? Until you can say like, I don't want to play that particular game anymore. Like we're stuck in something that we didn't get to choose. You're just there.
Yeah, it is. It's Jess said it too. Institutionalization, institutionalized, it's programming, conditioning, and just normalizing things that aren't normal. I think about my daughter is now in her second year of college, and when she was in her senior year of high school, it was so stressful. And not because of all the stuff that happens, right, in senior year prom and applications for college. It was because, the kids had gone back to school post COVID. And if it wasn't somebody tested positive, or more often than not was, oh, lockdown, there was a suspected gun, there was a threat, there was something. And the anxiety, and thankfully I was home. And so I could get over to the school. I could, she didn't like eating the food because the food was trash. I would bring food every day, like all of those things. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was home, I'd be like, well, you know what? You're just going to have to eat the food. Or I'd be coming out of a meeting and trying to scramble, 'cause I remember there was a gentleman I worked with, and he was in the middle of a meeting, and he was one of the higher ups. And there was a threat at his kid's school, right? And so you're supposed to go through that and then pick right up where you where you left off in your last sentence. It's like we've normalized things that are not normal. And it feels good to see when I'm in Portugal, kids playing outside. And parents spending time and the ease by which they live their life. And that is not an ease that I see on anybody's face in America. I saw this past week, you know, people who I'm connected with on Facebook posting pictures of their kids back to school and seeing, little milestones, either moving up a grade, moving on to next, big thing, whether it's high school, middle school, whatever. And as I was watching, all the beautiful faces, at the same time, it was like holding my breath in prayer that every last one of those faces can make it through the year and not be subjected to a lockdown, to, God forbid, something more serious, and that their parents don't ever have to feel that when they drop their kid off at school, that may have been the last time they see them.
So there's so many things about being in America that compounds it, right? You drop your kid off to school, it's the last time you see them. And now their photo is being used in articles about the shooter when they had nothing to do with it, right? Like there's so many ways in which the current status of American society shows us they do not care about us, right? In ways that are very, very unhealthy, in ways that like, it feels like, okay, so if you get shot, what's the big deal? So you die. Oh, and it's just like, that isn't how a functioning society works, right? I saw this week that they were pointing to the Black guidance counselor who worked at the school where the most recent shooting happened as it being her fault. That boy been in school for 2 days.
2 days of school.
2 days at school, but it was her fault. For not studying. Because she's a very bad, they asked around and the students said she's a very bad guidance counselor. Do students know guidance counselors are good? Like, that's not normally what I expect to hear from teenagers, that anyone in authority is good. But also that boy been there for 2 days. He's been with his family his whole life.
Tell it.
But where is there a Black face that we can point to and say it's them? They're the problem.
Oh, and it's going to continue. You know what? You may not have intended when you said this, but it just makes me think about what's going on with even Vice President Harris's election bid, right? Like the misogynoir, the sexist comments, the blaming her for throwing Trump off his game during the debate. It's like, but that just like, they went after Obama, if she does get elected, not only are they going to go after her on everything, right? The way she looks, like, 'cause I saw memes about, her facial expressions and all this other stuff, her laugh, right? That's also going to happen to those of us who are still in America, right? The blowback, because they can't, only so many people can get into her circle. So who else do you think they're gonna blow back on, right?
And it's all that she slept her way to the top. If it was that easy to sleep her way to the top, there would be a single male CEO in the country. Like,
who said that? Like Joe Brown or something? It's like, sit your old ass down. But again, right? All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
But it also, being a Californian and hearing that and knowing who she victimized to sleep her way to the top, it's like, no, baby, that's not how that happened. Like a man with a lot of political pressure and influence had a relationship with her. Normally, it's not the woman to, you know what I mean? Like, we have accepted to a certain extent that when there is that kind of relationship, the person with more power is usually the one who's at fault, but not with her, because it's a Black woman. Yeah. So she's got to be out there just mixing it, just throwing it at everybody, trying to get to where she is at her age. I'm like, if she was just sleeping her way to the top, she could have done this in her 30s. She'd been right. Like, that's not how this works. But it's exhausting. And it's also why I've checked out a little bit of US politics, because the conversations every day are exhausting, because I know you're saying it about her, but you mean it about me too. Right?
Exactly.
You mean
Yeah.
it. And like, you can't say it to me because I'm not here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like when I see it written all the time, when I see the way people talk about like the WNBA players, I'm like, you mean that about me.
Mm-hmm.
You wish ill on me. And when you can't take it out on them,
Yeah.
I'm the closest target.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not okay,
But I was gonna say, but isn't the answer like it's like that for Black women everywhere? They hate Black people everywhere. We hear that, right? They're like that everywhere. There's no place you can go, so you might as well stay here.
It's not.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because like Mexico City has been in the news recently about like people not wanting foreigners here. But when I go outside and I'm walking through the streets, I'm gonna tell you that like 95% of the people I interact with give me a hello and a smile. I might get like a no contact from like someone in that 5%, or like maybe a sneer, but your face probably just sits like that, right? Like I don't take that personally, right? But like because people in my neighborhood don't care. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a factor to them in the sense that like I can go to the grocery store. I went to Costco today. Everybody left me alone. I paid my money. I walked out. I got on the bus. There's no like, I'm not worried about getting shot anywhere. I'm not worried about anyone talking crazy to me. Because like I always say, if you're that invested in talking crazy about me in another language, I probably didn't even understand it.
Oh yeah, like I don't understand it, and it's a relief to not understand. Actually, it's just background noise. It's like, oh,
I don't have to worry about what everybody's saying, and I don't think you're talking about me.
No,
I don't think you're
the paranoia is gone. At least for me, it was paranoia. It was like, wait, what was that?
When I'm in the U.S. and people I don't know start that conversation, I got to be like, okay, wait, what are we like? What?
Am I going nut or am I going buck?
An 80-year-old lady did it the other day in an airport lounge, and I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
You being like fake friendly. It was very fake friendly, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna block you off. But here when people ask things there's a lot of love because it's not a community that is as pressured. It's not like that pressurized American system that we're used to, where we're always looking to blame someone else for the thing that happened to us, right? Like if I'm poor and white, it must be the minority's fault. If it's not, I can't blame the minorities, it must be the immigrants. If something bad happened to me, it must be this person. Like that just doesn't, like it's more of a community feel. And I'm part of the community, right?
Yeah.
And so it's different not having to worry, one, about your safety. Two, is this person giving you toxic energy? Because that does not happen, or it happens in Espanol, and I don't know, right? My Spanish is good. I heard the other day I was complimented on my Spanish with the doctors.
Yeah, you habla Espanol.
I do, but not good enough to know if you're cussing me out. So it's fine. But I also don't I don't think it happens, right? I don't think it happens. No one's like yelling. There's no aggression. There's no random aggression. I do not experience random aggression. I do not experience road rage because I don't drive, which is another good part of being out of the U.S., being in places where you're not dependent on cars to get everywhere. But that's kind of another rant for another day.
Yeah. Yeah, people in the U.S. have gotten worse. Like I think everyone would agree. But I haven't noticed that in not the Costa Rican people have not gotten worse. Now, maybe the foreigners who are in here, right? Some of the foreigners, sometimes you go someplace and there's some Americans and Canadians in there acting rowdy. But the Costa Rican, the change that has happened in the U.S., we talked already about when Obama was elected and it's beyond that. But the change that has emboldened people in the U.S. to just be the worst, it doesn't seem to have spread down here. So
wow,
I will enjoy that.
So what's it been like for you, Stephanie? Because this is like the big move for you.
I think the people down here are some of the best people in the world. I think that they believe in community. They see me as a person who can be in community with them, even though I don't look, they know I'm not Costa Rican. I hardly ever does somebody speak Spanish to me from the jump, right? But they know that, but they do have a willingness to be, in community with me, have conversations with me, be helpful to me. So it's been amazing. I'm not in the most beautiful part of Costa Rica, but I'm in a part of Costa Rica where I can have the life that I want. I want my groceries delivered, right? I want I want my food delivered to me. I want some conveniences. And I have that here. And it's been amazing. I'm not in a place that's the most inexpensive, right? For Central America, Costa Rica is not cheap. But it gives me a life that I want. I've got friends here. I've got delivery food here. I've got decent weather. The weather could be better. I've got decent weather where I am. And I've got the conveniences that I want in life without it being a problem, right? So it's been great to be here.
That's
One of,
awesome.
one of the things I thought about the other day was how when you pick a new place, there are so many different aspects you get to select, right? Like the weather, the landscape, the large town, small city, but there are other smaller things you can select that you might not think about. Okay, so y'all, in the US, I am not a tall. I am whatever the opposite is of it. But in Mexico City, I am very average height to almost bordering on tall. I you've seen me. Yes. A man passed me the other day, hitting my shoulder, and I was like, yes, baby. Yes. Yes. I am at least average height here. What?
I love that for you.
I love that for me. I can select who I get to live amongst.
Yes, I love that for you.
People aren't looking around, looking down at me everywhere I go. Oh, okay. I'm very average height here, and I like that. I said, oh, okay. This is something I hadn't thought about, but it's a win for me. It's a win. You get to choose. You get to choose so many different things in your experience. As you choose where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Select the best for you in this moment. It may not be the best for you in a year. You may change your mind about what you want. Select the best for you in this moment and make a plan to get there. Stephanie, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Right. Yeah, I was just saying we forget. You were right. We underestimate some of those small things. Some of the small things that give you a little boost, a little perk, right? Some perks of being in a place go beyond the cost of living and the weather, right? The perks of being in a place can be just really small things that you've been missing in your life and you want to experience them, or that you have had before and you want to keep. Right? Make your list. It's hard to make a list. It's hard to make a move abroad list, because it's daunting. It's a really daunting task to sit down and say, here are the things I need from a new home. But when you get to some places and you try some places on, you decide what things don't fit, what things do fit, what things you want to accentuate about a place. It's even though it seems like a really hard and daunting thing to do, to decide to move to another country and to even decide where you're going to move. It's just one step at a time, right? It's trying some things out. It's deciding what are your priorities and what aren't your priorities, and what things you can, you're okay with, but you don't have to have. And then working from there.
Yeah. And a lot of times you just take a little help, maybe from something like an Exodus Summit.
Yes, indeed.
Because, Krishan, we haven't talked about our schedule yet.
Yes, let's talk about that.
I had to look up the calendar because, girl, it's a lot. Every time Stephanie and I try to talk about it, we're like, who's doing what? But okay, so one of the things we hear frequently from people is that they're like, how do I handle the healthcare or whatever? We have 3 healthcare talks. Getting to the healthcare when you're in the country. Our good friend Shar is giving that talk.
Yay.
No, Shar's giving a different talk on healthcare.
Okay. Yay!
Yay! Shar's giving a talk about utilizing health insurance abroad.
Yes.
And then we have another talk from a doctor who's going to talk to you about, if you're in the US, what you should be doing in the healthcare realm to prep for a move abroad, to have especially if you have any continuing health conditions that you care about, how to best prep for that move. And I think this is such a crucial talk. I'm really glad we're doing it this year. We've never done it before, but it's one of those talks where it's like, I think, listen, it would cost you more than the ticket price to have it, get that information from your doctor. If you're going to your doctor and you're like, what do I need to know? First of all, you'd be waiting 3 months for your appointment, right? And it's going to cost you like $1,000. And our tickets aren't $1,000 yet.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah. We talked about the kids and school situation. So we also have a session on how different options for schooling your kids. Women inside of the Exodus community educate their kids in a variety of different ways. Some moms are the teacher, right? I don't know how they do it. Some send their kids to school in another country. Some have some sort of hybrid online situation that I don't fully understand. I'm not the speaker for this session. So we do have a wonderful session for women who have school age kids, because we hear all the time, and you probably hear this all the time, Kashan, oh, I got to wait until my kids graduate. Yes. Not necessarily. Some kids are going to thrive abroad just like you will, right? Some your child. And you know what your kids are like. Well, my parents moved, not countries, but my parents moved to another state this February of my senior year in high school. And this woman at our church came to me just crying. She was so upset. She was like, you can stay with us. You can stay with us. I was like, girl, I'm going with them. Like, I ain't worried about you. Forget senior year. Forget senior year. I'm going with my parents, right? You know your kids and what your kids would and would not tolerate, and where they would and would not thrive. There are kids who would thrive by going somewhere else, right? By feeling that same ease and peace and safety that you feel. Imagine your child getting to feel that and still going to school, still getting an education, still getting their diploma. So that's another session that we're super excited about. That is going to be a process speeder upper for a lot of the women who attend the summit this year.
Yes. Another talk by what I know is a channel favorite is Halisi from Our Black Utopia is coming in to talk about politics. So I'm sure you guys already know Halisi has a political background, a very important role in U.S. politics. Can I say that? That feels like the right thing to say, right way to describe it in a sentence. And she's going to talk about what we can expect post-election, some predictions, I guess, post-election around the inauguration, and why now of all times is a good time to move. So we're super excited to have Halisi come and bring that talk to us. Also because everyone loves Halisi, right? So like, come on down, girlfriend.
Yes.
That's right. We have a lot going on. So of course I'm talking about house sitting. If you've heard of the women in the chat talking about their house sitting, you heard Kashan, she's about to go to her very first house sit, right? Don't be jealous. Get yourself some house sits. Come to 2024. I'm gonna teach you how to do it. Okay. I'm gonna teach you how to get free accommodation in where you live or in another place, right? It can be where you live in your city. It can be on another continent. We're gonna teach you how to get free accommodation by house sitting so that you can save a little change. Some couples inside of Exodus Summit have been house sat to save up for their move abroad, which I think is genius. Get rid of that house. Get rid of those utility bills. House sit, get your money together so that you can go live out your life in Panama, in Ecuador, in wherever you're going, right? Let house sitting work for you. And then what are you going to teach?
I'm teaching about different visas that you can get and different citizenships, mostly visas, because like you don't really need to be a citizen to be anywhere, so whatever. But a lot of times we hear, especially as I talk about Mexico, people saying like, oh, it's getting to like the financial requirements are too much. We can't do this, we can't do that. They don't want people, they're trying to weed out people. They only want the rich people. We're going to break that down a little bit and give you some ideas of places you can go to with or without visas. We're going to give you some maybe some easier visas to access. So this should be the cheat code if you want to be abroad and you want to be abroad for a long time without like hopping to a new place every month, which is doable and can be fun. We're going to talk about that. So visas, get in your way, stay somewhere. Yes.
Yeah. That's right. So we're talking about your exit plan and speeding up your exit plan. We know, the three of us on the screen right now, we know what it's like to have this thing in front of you and be like, there's a lot of work, right? We know what it's like to get resources, get support, and then get there, right? Instead of just always being the, oh, it would be nice. It would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
It can be for you. It's for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Join us. Join us at Exodus Summit. And then once you're in Exodus Summit, you're going to want to move to Portugal, okay? Then Krishan's got you covered, okay?
Yes,
You're going to
yes.
want I have an
Portugal is
agenda.
amazing, and and I have to say, even with Portugal being amazing, and most people know it was not my first choice country, that it was New Zealand was my first choice country. I don't feel like I settled. What I will say though, when I was in Spain last week, I was like, "Ooh, look this sexy over here," because let me tell you, Spain was wooing me. I was like, "Ooh, y'all
It's too
all
early to start cheating, Krishan. You
I'm just
for like
saying.
2 months. Calm down.
They
Because it
were
wasn't the food.
Spain was looking good. Like it was so clean. The food was good. The men,
Mm-mm.
whoo child. Mm.
It wasn't the food. Take that off. It wasn't the food,
You
Krishan. I
think
already
she's
know.
just been a little hostage in Portugal too long? She got
It had to be.
a different spice and said, "Yes, this is the one." Something new.
I was like, probably it was that. I was like, I waited so long to get that residency card, 205 days to be exact. But but I guess that goes to say, like, when you choose this life, right? Like, go in eyes wide open.
Mhm.
Obviously, I didn't foresee it being a 205-day wait. Actually, we have someone in Passport who's been waiting. I think she's almost at month 9 or 10
Oh.
for hers. But it wouldn't have deterred me. Even if I did know that I had to stay and wait for it, it's I wanted it that bad for myself.
Mhm.
And so I think all that is to say is that when you want it bad enough, the things that you thought were roadblocks start to become like pebbles in your shoe.
Mhm.
And when you're around the right people who can pour into you, breathe life into you, give you, the atta girls, or to dust you off and get you hyped back up to go back in and get at it, that's what makes the difference. There's been people I've met who were denied their visa on the first try and the second try. And then they kept
Oh,
at it till third time was the charm, right? But like I said, if you want it bad enough for yourself, doors will open. Sometimes it requires you to be tested
Mhm.
along this journey so that you know that this is completely your decision, completely something that you want for yourself.
And
Jim
while some
Carrey, I heard him. I'm sorry. Sorry, I have a delay. I thought I'd
go
fix
ahead.
that problem. Jim Carrey, I heard him say, you can fail at stuff you don't even want. So you might as well put in effort and fail and maybe succeed at stuff you do want. He said his father could have been an
Mm-hmm.
amazing comedian, but he chose to be an accountant because he thought that it was a safer route. And then he got
Mm-hmm.
laid off and fired, mistreated at his at job after job after job, right? You can fail at stuff you don't want.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
might as well put in effort, try, go towards
Yeah.
the things that you do want.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of people who will have a situation Krishan just talked about where they try and they got to try again and it's a hard process. But for a lot of people, it's easy breezy, beautiful. For a
Yeah.
lot of people who want to move abroad, once they pick a place, once they start looking at the numbers and working the money out, it's like I hear all the time, "Oh, I could have done this 5 years ago. I should have done it at least 2 years ago. Like, why was I waiting?" Is what I hear most frequently from people. Why was I
Mm-hmm.
waiting? You did it when you were ready, right? You did it when you could talk yourself into it because it's not a small move, but like for a lot of people, it's life saving, it's life changing, it's life defining.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be one of those things for you. What are you waiting for?
Yeah. Yeah. And people create sometimes their own suffering.
Hmm.
I've seen Black women, and I don't know if it's some people tend to be like wired for the struggle. And like, if it's not hard, it wasn't worth it, right? Like, if I don't have to go through all these hoops and hurdles and struggle, then it's not meant for me. I have to work hard for it. And so it would be something is like, oh, I need to get a job even though you have more than enough money. Or you don't want to do the math, or you want to give your house to someone who doesn't have a job and is not going to be able to hold on to the house anyway, because as soon as they miss the either mortgage payment or property taxes, that shit just went out the window.
That's
and,
right.
and I'm just like, but you just like,
Yeah.
I don't get it, right? And some of it is just mental gymnastics that we are just so used to performing that the idea of being at ease feels foreign, as of course it would. But it's like you have to sit in that. And it's in my mind, this process, at least the first couple of months, was really like a detox, a healing,
Yeah.
and ultimately a rejection of the struggle, the struggle bus I was on, the roadblocks I was creating for myself. And now it's just like, ooh, if it's hard, I don't want
That's
it. But
right.
not all
There,
things.
there is real anti-blackness and misogynoir in the idea that you have to struggle for the things that you want. That's anti-black. No, other
Mm-hmm.
people live their lives that way. Other people do not give each other that messaging,
Mm-hmm.
right? They accept yes, Nepo baby me, right? I want the easiest path. Give me the
Yes.
easiest way.
Yes.
Give me everything easy.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
believe you have to struggle, you have internalized some anti-blackness. Take some time, unlearn that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let yourself feel the flow that comes with doing the easiest thing. Let yourself feel the flow of rejecting the struggle. Do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you'll feel better when you do. I firmly believe that. Like once you say, "Oh, you know what? I'll take the easy route," because it's that
Yes.
internalized, like, "Oh, well, if it's easy, then I'm lazy, or I didn't earn it." And it's like our ancestors paid that debt, right? Like off many generations over. Your freedom, your ability to enjoy ease, your ability to experience joy is
Mhm.
part of your reparations.
Yes.
And what I also believe to be anti-blackness, and I get it in the comments from time to time, and I usually laugh when I do, is the people like, oh, we going to Portugal, we going to Spain. They don't you know? And I'm like, wait, I don't know you. I don't speak French. I put myself here.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like, first of all, we as Black people can go anywhere we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like white people don't feel like, oh, we done did a whole lot of shit to them Black and brown people. We probably shouldn't be going to Africa and all these other countries. And no, they
Yeah.
have no problem going
Never.
anywhere in the world, given all
Never.
the shit that they have done and continue to do. But somehow I'm supposed to feel like, oh, I can't go because are you kidding me right now?
The
Like, I
person
don't
who
understand
comments,
that.
but the person who comments that also lives in such and such plantation. Their neighborhood is called something plantation, and they work for the prison system. I'm like, dude, you're not serious. He's not
And
serious.
they're
He's very
and they're
unserious with
not
that
leaving
comment.
anywhere because they're waiting for reparations.
Correct. Correct.
We don't have to pay attention to that comment because they don't
Yeah.
mean it. They don't mean it. They're not
And
Yeah.
concerned at all with that.
No.
really is people are offended at this. Certain people are offended at the sight of free Black women. Like
Mm,
we are meant
that
to be
part.
the mules. We are meant to be the lowest of the low. So why does your life look easier than mine?
Yeah.
Why does your
Yeah.
life? Why are you on the internet saying you're happy, and you don't have a man? Can't be. Can't be happy.
Oh yeah, that too.
She lying.
That
She
too.
lying. They lying. They're not happy. There's no, and I'm like, the glow you see
Yeah.
is a I ain't got nobody stressing me out glow.
And that if you can't do what I can do or better, don't even come over. Don't even bother
Right.
my peace. Don't disrupt my peace.
Don't
Okay.
disrupt. I'm at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like, what percentage of men are bringing peace with them when they show up somewhere? Even on like not a relationship based, not even on like a relationship basis, but just historically, is that what men were bringing when they came to places? Peace? Is that what they're
Mm-hmm.
known for?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just asking for a number.
Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And so really, it is you are happy, you are free, you are not tied down. And I think some of it is, and you didn't bring me with you, and you didn't
Ooh.
put me on your back
Yeah.
Mhm.
and take those steps for both of us. So you can't be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be happy.
Action BJ.
No, I see him in there.
I'm thrilled with the topic.
He said, wait a minute. Let's get back to the main topic, please.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this one. No, but like a lot of the feedback you get if you live your life as a free Black woman is like,
Yeah.
you are wrong for having kids, for not having kids, for having your kids with you, for not having your kids with you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that brings you happiness, anything that looks like freedom and joy, someone is going to tell you that you're wrong for doing it or wanting it. So you got to ignore somebody, right? If you stay in the US and you live in this neighborhood, you're wrong because your kids are going to that school.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in that neighborhood, someone's going to say you're wrong because your kids are going to that school.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well live wherever you want.
Yeah.
You might as well do whatever you want. You might as well identify what feels like freedom for you and what feels easy for you and go chase that. Go walk, not even chase, walk towards that. Walk towards the freedom, walk towards the ease. And if there's somebody on your back, get them off.
Ooh, please.
Get them off.
Have repellent. Right? It's like someone is like, oh, what you left your kids? You mean my grown children? My son just turned 24 the other day. And my daughter's turning 19 next week. I'm like, they grown. Like I can't sign for them. Like
And if it's not that you have to stay for your children, it's you have to stay for your parents.
yeah. Oh, yes. Right. Like I'm like, I don't understand that.
You're a mule. You're a mule.
Yeah.
You got to stay for your country. Okay, please. Democracy needs you. It's gonna. The whole thing is
Capitalism needs me.
Stay for the country. Stay for. It's you. Somebody. You're gonna have to disappoint somebody. Yeah. Get used to it. Get used to it. Might even have to disappoint your old self. Right. You might have to disappoint the self who thought that those things were right. Get used to it.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Yeah. This past year was a lot of deconditioning, and I would say a return to self, like the parts of me, and that was the gift of travel, that happened I was counting on the bus. I was like, wow, in the past 8 years, it's been so far, because the year's not over, 15 countries since 2017, but 18 total. And it's like travel was what opened the door to what was possible by, experiencing being me in other countries and having different interactions. And just like I know with you, Stephanie, you went on that big trip and you met those, what was it, like backpackers, millennials.
Millennials. Back when millennials were young people.
Yes, I know. I had to search the word.
Yeah, I met 2 millennial dudes in Brazil. It was my 40th birthday, and they were in their early 20s. And they opened up a whole new idea to me. And they were like, you can just quit your job and travel on your savings on like $40 a day, and then go back and get your job back when you run out of money. I never considered that. Like never
Mhm.
considered it. And it was the best thing I did for myself. It was an amazing experience.
Mhm.
Changed everything about me. Changed
Mhm.
changed how I saw myself in the world, right? I no longer saw myself as a worker. Once I got to spend a year not being a worker and I still
Mhm.
existed, I was like, oh, clearly I'm not a worker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Clearly, that's not my identity. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm still a person, even though I'm not working. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was just being introduced to a new idea and then taking it on, making it work for me, right? Doing the things that worked for me. Their plan wouldn't necessarily work for me. But yeah, when you get out in the world and see other people living a different way, you go to like in New Zealand, in wherever you are, when you see those German tourists and they talking about, yeah, every year I take 2 months, like, oh, I'm changed now. This has changed some things for me. Travel
Mhm.
is a gateway to a lot of new, like newness or like uncovering yourself. Travel is a gift.
It's a gateway. There's also a way to like realize what you're missing at home, right? Like I used to
Mhm.
work for a company, our parent company was German, right? The Germans would be like, it's June, I'll talk to y'all in August. Bye. And you just took that for granted.
Yeah.
But I can't go on this 5-day vacation because their whole office is shut. Not a single person is in that office for 2 months.
Whole
And
office.
my coworker came to me. I put in my vacation first, but because she has kids, I got to change my vacation so she can go on hers. No, 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 no. Right? Like we work for the same company. Their entire office is shut down for months. And
Wow.
that's okay to the higher ups there. But the higher ups here are like, this is America. Go kill
Mm-mm.
yourself at your desk. Go
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
work yourself. If your fingers aren't bleeding, you're not working hard enough. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is interesting.
Yeah.
You know that like I work on projects with them, and the projects I need to do I can't do for a whole summer. So what am I doing here? Why can't I? But it's very much you can work the the US knows it doesn't have to be like this, but they also know they have us at an advantage keeping it like this, right?
Yeah.
It's there's no reason for this job shortage that's out there right now.
Mhm.
Besides, it makes people more desperate.
Yeah.
They take jobs they might not otherwise take for money they might not otherwise take it for. Their
Mhm.
jobs, right? But y'all too stingy. Y'all trying to get two people to do the job of 10, two people and a chat GPT to do the job of 10 people.
Yeah.
Where is that going to leave the country in 5 years?
Mhm.
I'm not fighting nobody for a job, for housing, for groceries, none of that.
Mhm.
None of that. If it's got to be hard, I don't want it. My life is easy here.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Mhm.
I don't want the hard stuff.
No, no. I mean, and you work hard. You saw a few weeks ago the story. I don't know if you saw it. The woman that
Hmm.
dropped dead at her desk, and they did not notice for 4 days.
And it's Wells Fargo. It's not mom and pop's seed shop.
Exactly. It's like, and then when the body, of course, is going to decompose and start to smell, and they're like, "Oh, we thought it was the plumbing." I'm like, if that alone doesn't show you that you are nothing more than a widget, right? And that you have to choose you, because I got off the plane, I don't know, 2 hours ago here. And this is my first time flying to Bristol, although it's my second time in the UK. And so, they deplane and you have to go down this set of stairs, to go onto the tarmac to walk in. And then we had to go upside flight, downside, upside, down. And I'm like, wow. And I'm watching, different people, different ages. And I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that I chose this life at this time in this body. And I didn't delay it till my government told me that I had to be, 65 or 69, or some people just in their head believe they can never retire, that they won't have enough money, because every year, if I'm so blessed, this body is going to change, and my ability to do certain things will ultimately change with time. It happens to everyone. But the ability for me to go up hills and do different things, I'm like, I'm glad I chose this for me right now in this body, and that I didn't fall into the trap of another year, another 5 more years, another $10,000, another $100,000, right? And it was for me. And I remember, Roshida, you had video on your channel where you were transparent about doing the math and coming up with your number and making the decision to leave. And I was like, wow, okay. Like, that helped me start to conceptualize and say, okay, maybe I can do this, right? Because in my mind before, it was, oh yeah, I'm going to do this in 2023, but I have to find a job because I need to work another 10 years, right? And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. This Black woman wait, what? And that's what I say. It's like, there's so much power in conversations like this, and a demonstration for people. 3 Black women, 3 different countries, 3 different backgrounds, right? But one common thing, we got out, right? You can do it.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's true. And I keep thinking about how like the retirement age keeps going up in the US. And the government
Mhm.
telling us for like 20 years that Social Security ain't gonna be there. So what are we holding on for? There's a little too much faith placed in the idea that like things are going to be okay if I just keep doing the same thing I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
But we have no evidence of it. There's no evidence that things are going to be okay if the status quo keeps quoing. It's just, you know, the hope is nice, but the hope is not a strategy. It's not.
No, no. And moving the yardstick another year, another 5 years, another 10 years, it's it's I don't know if it's euphoric recall, but it's magical thinking, or something, because you're not taking into consideration all the things, right? The things of your body aging. You could get sick. There's a lot of different variables. And somebody put it in the comments. It's like, you could unknowingly narrow your options, by waiting, because you might, the threshold to get into these countries, they have means tests. That number can continue to accelerate. Your physical, abilities might change. And so you might love Lisbon, but you can't do the hills,
You know,
or whatever it is.
even on a good day. Whew.
Ooh, baby, honey. But I'm grateful for the hills, because the hills are what, has increased like my lung capacity, my endurance, and
What's your
things
butt
like
looking
that.
like? What's your butt looking like? It's a little high, a little tight.
It's getting there.
All right, all right. Hills.
It's getting right and tight. But
Okay.
it's like, if I waited, then just crossing the street could have been a challenge. And I see, Americans, when they come over, with their big luggage, uh, they have a hard time maneuvering the lifestyle here, because most of America is car dependent.
Mhm.
And unless you're from a major city like, Atlanta, New York, maybe parts of California, you're very car dependent. And so, just going to the grocery store, half a mile, me going to the pharmacy when I'm in Florida, around the corner, I gotta get in the car because there's no sidewalks, right? And there's a major highway. And so the thought of, going up a hill, doing anything with a level of endurance, is off putting. And some people resign themselves to think like, oh, I can't do it, instead of like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I need to increase my physical, maybe I need to get into a gym. Maybe I need to start thinking about my country in a different way. Why don't we have more
Mhm.
pedestrian friendly, areas to enjoy, parks, or, kids to play outside, or, when I walk around Portugal, they have these little like adult gyms outside so people can do calisthenics. And it's like, it's so refreshing to see because, you know, it just makes you want to do it, right?
Mhm.
Instead of, getting in a car. I rented a car to go to Spain. That was the second car I rented in 9 months. Like, I don't even think about a car. Um,
Yeah.
and I know that as well as this decision, I believe, has extended not only my life expectancy, but my quality of life has grown exponentially.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
it's rare that I talk to someone who hasn't seen their quality of life and in extension their, I would say, maybe the length of their life extend and expand in moving out of the US.
Hmm.
I think we underestimate how, because we've been taught so long about like the roads paved in gold in America, it's the best country in the world. It's hard to really conceptualize how much easier it is to live in other countries than to live in the US.
Hmm.
It's so much easier to live in so many other countries. Like it's not perfect, but like I said, I don't have to worry about anybody shooting me.
Nope.
I don't. I don't. There's literally one gun store in this entire country. All of
Wow.
the guns here that are, yeah, one gun store on a military base, and you need to have like a real good reason to have a gun, like
Yeah.
you're retired military, you're just used to having one, right? Or like
Hmm.
police officer. All the guns in the country that are here that are in like bad people's hands came from the US because the gun laws are terrible,
I got them.
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there's not enough guns that I'm worried that someone's gonna shoot up the grocery store because
Hmm.
they don't like the people who live in that neighborhood.
Hmm.
They're not shooting
Yeah.
up churches. I feel fine,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And that for me has brought down my stress level
Hmm.
very significantly. That and never having to like speak to anyone who I feel like has less than positive intentions for me. I'm not,
Mm.
I don't have to speak to anybody. If I do speak to them, it's like a hello, how
Yeah.
are you? We move on. I don't feel no one. I never get the what are you doing in this neighborhood? What are you doing in this store? Can you really afford? No one's like blocking my access to anything. Should I be?
Hmm.
No one's I walk all the time here. No one's following me down the street to see what I'm doing in this neighborhood.
Hmm.
Because people
Yeah.
be minding their business, which we should all try doing a little bit more of. Right.
Hmm.
And it is I know it's extended my life expectancy. I know
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, ladies, as we start to wrap, what else do women need to know about their exit plans and or Exodus Summit that we haven't talked about yet?
I'll say that you don't need to know how things are going to work out. We touched on this earlier, but you don't need to know, I want to move abroad and this is how I want to do it and this is where I want to go.
Hmm.
We have created an event for you to get some of that worked out inside of the event or with the information the speakers will teach out of after the event is over, right? You don't need to come to Exodus Summit because you already know how things are going to work out, right? How you're going to afford it, where you're going to go. You've already done the math, right? It's okay if you come in, just teach me. Come in, let things be a little easy. Come in, get ready to take some notes and be prepared to work some things out inside of the summit, not before the summit. You don't have to figure all that stuff out. We know you're tired. Okay, we know you're tired. We brought in speakers who can teach you some things and help you do some things. We have some workshops, so some speakers who can help you actually work through some things in the summit or after.
Mhm.
um, don't wait. It's sometimes we think some people wait a little too late, right? A little too long. to come in, and they've worked themselves into a corner, boxed themselves into a corner. Come, let us work on these things together with you. You're welcome.
And we do a really good job of pat ourselves on the back. Go on, Stephanie, it's time. Pat yourself on the back. We do a really good job of listening to our community. So we know what our Exodus Summit members, who are 18,000 now in our Facebook group, want. And I'm going to guess they represent you too. So like what they want is probably something, if you're thinking about moving abroad, if it's even an inkling of an idea, it's what you want too. And we've really packed this year's summit with things that will get you that are going to like add some juice to the battery in your back, right? They're going to make your exit faster, smoother, easier, which are the things we really value in this conversation. Because we want that for you. We want you to have an easy way out. We want you to have a quick way out if you want a quick way out. We want it to be smooth for you. And so the sessions we've created this year are really all geared to that. You want remote work? We're going to talk to the remote work queen, Libria Jones, about how to do that. She's coming twice for 2 different sessions.
Ooh, she was just in Portugal a few weeks ago. I got to have dinner with her.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
She told me about that. We didn't need to talk about that. We don't take this
Look, when y'all was here, we had hangout time. We had a whole meetup.
We had ice cream.
Yes, we did.
And I tried to introduce you to somebody you already knew. That's how it goes. Because the community, that's part of it. Like the community is really a community. It's not like I moved abroad and now I don't know anybody. It's like I moved abroad and there's someone I kind of know in Portugal, and I try to introduce, who's not even Black, to someone I kind of know in Portugal. I try to introduce her to Krishan, and they're like, oh no, we already did this and we like each other. Let's do it again. And I was like, oh, because that is community. That is, we're all in this country. We're all doing this thing. And that doesn't mean that we don't know local people. Doesn't mean that at all. It means that like there are people that you can rely on, the people you can count on, the people who look like you, who are going through the same thing you're going through. And that's priceless. Like there's nothing better than being in community.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can go now to a variety of countries and know someone now. Right? Like I can be like, oh, hey, I'm coming through. Right? And that's the beauty of this journey, are the wonderful people. And then, like I said earlier, the transformations. So I know you all came up with this year a wonderful quiz.
We did.
Yeah. Can we talk about that before we end?
The quiz is all about helping you choose or get an idea of cities that might be right for you, cities/countries that might be right for you. Now, hold up. A lot of people take the quiz and they're like, I don't want to move to Dakar. I don't know why I got that as a test result. I have no interest in that. But you probably should look at a city, like there's something there, something, the way the quiz is set up, there's something about Dakar that fits it into your criteria. So what is the criteria you're looking at? You're probably looking at being in a place that's around Black people. You're probably looking at being at a beach. You're probably not looking at a mega city, right? You're probably looking at a place where it's good to raise your kids. And those are all questions that are asked as you go through the quiz. So I want to tell you, if you get the quiz results and you're like, how dare you? Know that not every city in the planet is there. So there's a good chance that your dream city isn't in the quiz at all. So you were never going to get that as a response. But also I want you to think through the questions that you got and think about how you really feel about all of them, right? If like Dakar is not, you're like, I couldn't imagine living there. Someone said that about a different city. And I was like, I feel like you don't really want to be in Africa. And that, if you want to be around majority Black people, there's a very good chance you're going to move to somewhere in Africa. And so like, think through the questions. And then when you get your results, see like what it is about that city that would work for you and that wouldn't work for you. So a lot of people are like, this is spot on. It's exactly. Our good friend Adelia took the quiz multiple times and ended up with Mexico City every time. And I was like, done.
No kidding.
Right? I did that. And some other people are like, yes, I was thinking about this, and this city isn't it, but it's almost exactly like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, I would say the quiz is a good starting place, but I would use it to ideate what are some other places that are like this? What is it that I really like about the city? So if it's really Dakar, and you really like being on a beach, and you really like being around Black people, but you don't want to be in Senegal, what are some other cities that you could think of? Like, is Durban a good choice? What are some other cities that have some of the similar qualities that are truly important to you? And like use that as a way of like getting deeper into the process with yourself. That's my quiz. My quiz spiel. Also, it's really good. Most people are like, yes, perfect. Exactly.
It's brilliant. I think you ladies did a fabulous job with it. I love it. I took it. I got Portugal.
Oh,
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. The what country should you move to quiz is the link is in the description, along with Krishan's link for you to register for Exodus Summit. Now, the reason we're saying Krishan's link is Krishan has a link for you to register for Exodus Summit that we would appreciate that you would use. Krishan is a person who has created this platform and this community who has given you a whole lot of information and a whole lot of help and support. And one way that you can support her is when you register for Exodus Summit, use her link. Okay? Right? We haven't said the name of our website yet because we want you to use Krishan's link to register for the summit. Krishan will get a commission, won't cost you anything additional, and you'll be able to give her a little bit of support for the work that she has done on this here channel and everywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So go to the description. We mean it. Okay, go to the description. Click on the link. Thank you.
Take the quiz. Get your ticket. Exodus Summit is going to be so exceptional this year. Like, so.
Yeah.
We're bringing in some good stuff for our 5th year. If you've been to the summit before, you know that we don't have step. It's just not something we work hard 3 months out of the year. This is our 3 months. We put a year's worth of work into this 3 months, but we really get it because we want this to be an experience that you'll walk away saying, this changed my life. This gave me this gave me friends. This gave me community. I saw someone ask earlier, and yes, we will have breakout sessions. So
yay. Those are great.
The salons will be here for you guys to get in community with each other because we can't be in community with all of y'all. We'd love to.
Get to meet.
What was that? To meet?
Yeah, I'm just saying, you guys get to meet. You
guys get to meet. We're hoping that we'll have 5,000 women at the summit this year.
Woohoo!
That's more community than Stephanie and I can handle. So we have sessions so you get to meet each other. You get to have groups. I know some of y'all are still getting together and still doing things in the groups from last year. And I can't wait to see how it evolves this year.
It makes all the difference in the world, I have to say. And that, as someone who has attended every Exodus Summit, let me tell you, you got to do it. You got to do it. And it's okay, Jametta. I'm glad you registered.
I'm glad you registered too, Jametta.
Yes, I'm glad you registered. All right, y'all. Well, like I said, and I've been doing it in the comments in Exodus Summit, right? It's the most wonderful time of the year is Exodus Summit. And let's give the people the dates again, just one last time.
October 11th through 14th. 11th is a short session after work for like Central and Eastern people, maybe like end of work for West Coast people. And then all day on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. The 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day, so I hope you have it off. If not, tell your boss you're not coming in because you got stuff to learn.
You have to quit that job.
All online.
All online. Nothing in person, all online. No Facebook necessary. It's a third-party platform, so all you gotta do is like click a link and get in. You don't need to be on camera for anything, so you can show up looking as crazy as you want. The only time you would be on camera is in those breakout sessions if you want to, but you don't have to. Your camera can be off.
Yeah. Come as you are.
Wonderful.
Come as you are. It's a very come as you are kind of event.
Come as you are. You will come away with a lot of information. I was fortunate enough to be a speaker last year. You will learn a lot. You will meet some great women, and you'll come away with it empowered, energized, and ready to take action. And that's what we want for you, because you need to have that exit plan.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Thank you so much for having us, Krishan.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Hey, everybody, I will be back next week. Not in the UK, probably back in Portugal, but definitely not in the UK. But I will see you guys next week. In the meantime, be well and be safe. And ciao, ciao.